Hey guys, so I've been meaning to show you for a while how I set up my car for dirt bagging. Right now it's all cleaned out and I took pretty much everything out of it for the sake of airing it out after my last excursion living in it. And I have to jam all of this stuff into that small Subaru Impreza. So I'm going to show you how I set up my car for stints when I live in it for either work or play. Alright, so first thing I need to talk about is the sleeping area. And so that's like any car, it has the back seats can go down. And so that setup is for both the center console and this seat to go down. And then this seat is just the seat on its own going down. So this is what I sleep in. It is pretty thin for, I guess, some folks, but I find that I can sleep in it just as well as any other bed. And it gives me all this trunk space over here for storage. The only thing is that there is a good 3-inch dip between the seat here and the trunk, and so I have to make up for that dip. I should have opened up the trunk for that last shot so you could actually see everything in there. And so it goes all the way back. Alright, so here's the first part of setting up for a level sleeping area. What I did is I took a 3/4 sleeping pad right here, and I used this to fill up most of the space caused by that 3-inch gap. And I can just deflate it so that way it lays flat on that 3-inch part. But lately I've been keeping that going because there's actually a little bit of a hole in one of my sleeping pads. So I wake up in the morning and I don't want to feel that. And then over this, I keep a, what's this? Like a Thermarest foam pad. This is the roll-up version. I also have one of these square versions right here that everything's laying on. But I find that they both work just fine. The sleeping pad's a sleeping pad. So for a while, when I first tried out this system, that's all I rolled with. And I quickly found out that that wasn't quite enough. And so that's when I got the Sea to Summit Comfort Plus SI, for self-inflating. And these pads are definitely not something you want to bring to the backcountry with you. They're really heavy and they don't pack down that much. And if it's self-inflating, then it's always inflated. There's no crunching it down all the way. But this thing is a real lifesaver when it comes to comfort. I just wanted the most comfortable pad at REI. And yeah, it's just a super comfortable pad. However, after using it for like a year now, or actually a little over a year, like a year and a half, and spending, up to probably spend at least 60, maybe 70 nights on this thing, it does have like a leak, so I have to blow it up every night, and in the morning when I wake up, it's pretty much uninflated, but it's good enough so far. So maybe not built for, maybe it doesn't have the best endurance, but it's still a super comfortable pad. Alright, and here we have the full sleeping setup. So like 3 layers in the back and 2 in the front. Yeah, and so with my height, generally I don't like my feet to be touching any part of the car because that just sucks heat away. And so my head is usually around here. And so I just pile a bunch of stuff up there, usually ropes, backpacks and stuff. And then the seat I have to move forward, but then I have a really nice night of sleep. And yes, there is a bit of a constriction point right here, but I also, everything just gets pushed down after a while. Now the spacing between this thing and here, sometimes when I turn over, I can actually feel my body hitting that, but I can still sleep on my side and this won't be a problem. So I'm small enough to make this work. It's super comfortable. And so for my final piece of sleeping equipment, I actually have the bed covers, as you can call them. This is a Brooks Range 15-degree sleeping quilt, which it means it's just a blanket. It gets a little hot in the summertime, but I just recently got this, this other thing that is a lot thinner that'd be nice for summer. I got it for free, just as like a little promotional thing that my dad got through like a work camping thing, and he didn't want it, so I took it off his hands. But for the rest of the year, this is really nice. Spring and fall, especially on those chilly morning wake-ups, this still does the trick. The only thing I will do is switch it out for a sleeping bag. Like, for example, when I was in Uray this winter, and I definitely I wanted something a little bit more beefy than a 15-degree quilt. So I brought out a negative 15-degree sleeping bag, and I thought I would actually sleep in it like cocoon style every night. And then I ended up using it as just a blanket like this because I would overheat. So this whole sleeping setup really conserves a lot of heat. Turned on my little light here and just realized I got frost on the inside of my car. The final thing I have in my trunk is my haul bag. Since I was big wall climbing on this latest desert trip, I had to bring my haul bag, and I have my other big wall stuff. Inside is a bunch of ropes, other big wall stuff, a pair of shoes like that. Over here I always have jumper cables with me because they've actually come in handy while I'm on the road. And this is just extra climbing gear that I don't own. I borrowed it from a friend, so I'm going to keep it separate. Normally, I really like having my climbing gear back here just because it's nice to open this up and, you know, grab what I need for the day. In this case, since I have this haul bag, that got prime spot. I've also put, you know, ice climbing gear back here, a big bin of other stuff before. Basically, any trip I do, I have to reorganize the car to make the most out of the space. But as you can see, there's tons of space up here. I'm gonna shove some other stuff, some more rope, some backpacks, whatever, and just use as much of the space as I can. All right, so I managed to shove a few more backpacks back there. This one right here. My stove, I always keep my stove in this part of the car along with propane for it. Ski strap, because they come in handy. And on this side, I just keep a whole bunch of extra cord. And that's mainly because I end up losing a lot of cord out in the field either, mainly for rappelling off of stuff. But this is kind of where I'm at right now, and I think I'll move on to a different part of the car. Maybe I'll be able to shove a few more ropes in here. Actually, I will be able to shove some more rope up here, so I'm going to do that. Here we go, all filled up. I still have a little bit of extra space back there for whatever I need, but I think this will just be about everything. Managed to cram into this side of the car, and then I still have space for my feet. So on the driver's side back seat footwell, normally I don't try to keep too much stuff here, or I mean more big bulky stuff, because I need enough to support my head while sleeping, but don't like a bunch of crap here. However, because of the haul bag taking up the trunk space, this is where I've been keeping all my climbing stuff as sort of the first layer where my head rests. Yes, I do try to smooth it all out so that way it's kind of a level surface of all this annoying crap poking up. If you are going to do it this way, watch out for the friggin' points of the cams, because they can sort of wreck your stuff, especially if it's fragile, just by pushing your weight down onto them. So you gotta make them all nice and flat. Got all my crap piled up. I will put my climbing shoes here too. The other climbing shoes I sort of have. And now I want to make the level flat for sleeping on. So just sort of lay a couple backpacks down. That one obviously doesn't do that much, but this one sort of levels the field for this, which is definitely the heavy hitter, the creek pack. And then what I do is, when I actually sleep, I'll put jackets and maybe that sleeping bag over there on top to pad it out, and then I'm good to sleep. It's basically the same level as where my head goes. Alright, so the passenger's back seat, I try to keep a bit more neat because a lot of times, a lot of extra crap, I try to keep a bunch of stuff in the footwell, but I really want to keep this seat clean because I like to sit back and relax with my feet over there, and then I open up the door on the days when I'm just stuck in the car all day and can't climb or do whatever, and So I'm just chilling out in the car, and I like to use this as kind of like my living room seat. And no, I don't know why there are batteries here. So you can see how I have a portal edge in the side right there. That's the only place where it'll fit. And so that's not the most comfortable to lean against, but I can always put clothes up there to add some padding. That rope in the rope bag makes a really good thing to lean up against. It's super padded, and I really like doing that. I also have this little light. Found this at a gas station and then broke one, so I bought it off of Amazon. But it's a really nice light lantern thing, and I can hang it up on these things right here in my car, so that way I can read or do whatever I need to at night. Passenger side, this is where I keep all my food, and I have them in this food bin that I bought at like Bed Bath & Beyond or whatever, with the lid right here. Generally when I'm on the road for climbing areas, I don't put the lid on because there's no need, but a lot of times I will be camping in places or leaving my car in places where mice and other rats can get inside. And so like that's happened a little too much. And so you gotta be careful with where you put your food. And so that's why I have the lid here to close up the bin and they can't get into the food. On the passenger seat, I guess I have another cam. I got these things everywhere. Sunglasses, which I usually put up there, belay glasses too, and then books, either reading books or guidebooks. So this is kind of where the books go, as well as extra toilet paper. You can see that's always important to have. Center console has my headlamp, phone charger, and then backup phone battery. I also have my classic bear barrel. Anyone who knows me knows the bear barrel full of snacks. And I do that because, you know, it keeps the snacks all together. These are the snacks that I eat while I'm outside climbing and stuff. But also, again, going with the rodent thing, the rodents won't get into that. So, yeah, comes in handy. So generally when I'm traveling on the road, I rock the flip-flops as much as possible. Even in snowy areas, if I'm driving a lot, I will use flip-flops and then turn the heat on. But I also have my normal shoes. And then a lot of times I'll just stick these in the footwell of the driver's seat right there. And then that doesn't really bother me. I guess it could bother some folks, but I don't notice it. Okay, so the last thing I have to add to the car are my clothes. This is just a big waterproof bag. I know it's not the best way to keep your clothes, but it works for me. Generally what I do is, I can open up this door. I throw them in right there and then move them around as I need. They go up on top of the portal edge when I'm using that space, but that's where my extra clothes go. I actually do have more clothes than that with me because I was gone I've been operating out of the car for quite a while now. And so I got to bring a couple extra clothes, or, you know, a few extra clothes, but that's the majority of them. And then in the mornings when I wake up, especially if it's chilly, always put on a few jackets anyway, so I usually have jackets just sort of out and about, but the majority of the clothes are in that bag. The other clothes right there, I just sort of threw them in, just the extra stuff. And then that's it, actually. My car is pretty much packed up with everything that I brought down with me this time. Again, like every time I go on a different trip, especially if it's an ice climbing trip versus like rock climbing trip, this trip was more big wall sort of oriented, so of course I have a bunch of extra climbing gear that I may not take with me all the time, or if I'm going down to Red Rocks or, you know, whatever. If you guys like this video and you like how I set up my car, which is really not much of a dirtbag car, but it gets me where I need to go, and you know, I like it. And so if you like more of these videos when I'm doing my usual climbing gear trip videos, I can show you how I set up my car for it. Pretty much nothing really changes except for the stuff in here and then whatever I stuck in the trunk. So the rest is all kind of the same system. And then some stuff I leave behind and other stuff I bring. So the only other addition to this car is the chair with a little chair bag. And so I'll just stick this in the trunk. I can always find a place for it because it's pretty small, but having a chair with you on the road is really nice, especially when you're actually with other people other than just on your own. So that's my entire car setup. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.